This is Eric Dick, and I think it's important that you know your rights. If your homeowner's insurance company has denied or underpaid your claim, you have the right to hire an attorney. You have the right to call me for free consultation at 833-7-RIGHTS. That's 833-7-RIGHTS. Don't let your homeowner's insurance company take advantage of you. Call me today at 833-7-RIGHTS.
Has your homeowner's insurance claim been denied or underpaid? Call Dick Law Firm at 833-7-RIGHTS.
A Houston man tonight is taking on the city of Houston. He is suing, saying he has the constitutional right to feed the homeless this Thanksgiving and any other day that he chooses.
Fox 26's Domily Keith is live at Houston City Hall with more details on this. Domily?
Yeah, you may remember the charitable feeding ban went into effect a few years ago, making it illegal to feed the homeless. Well, Philip Paul Bryant says it shouldn't be against the law to give food to someone in need. He says it should be the other way around, a crime not to give.
Of just trying to make sure a fellow human doesn't starve.
It sounds simple enough.
We aren't asking for anything else than to be able to give food to those that are less fortunate. Please let us do it.
Houston City Council members say they passed the charitable feeding ban to ensure homeless people receive food prepared under health code regulations, and so those in need will turn to an organization to eat, so they will receive other resources, services, and shelter as well.
Many of them take probably no more than 150 people. How many homeless are there? You cannot fit all the homeless into the shelters.
We pursued this lawsuit because we felt the city was trying to disenfringe not only on the less fortunate, but also trying to discourage good people, good Samaritans from doing the right thing.
It's Thanksgiving. It's the whole purpose of this holiday is to share food and eat. Let us practice our religion. Let us follow our faith. That's all we're asking.
If someone doesn't give them food, they won't have food to eat that night.
Brian says a number of groups wanting to set up outdoors and feed the homeless this Thanksgiving are discouraged for fear of being punished by the police.
There's going to be a lot of people who are on that border of saying, yeah, do we feed them, do we not feed them, do we want to go to jail, do we want to get a ticket?
Now, those who want to gather and feed the homeless have to first get permission from the city, and depending on where you plan to set up, you'll have to get permission from the property owner as well. There is a $500 fine for violating the ban, and you could go to jail if you don't pay that fine. We're live in downtown Houston. I'm Domily Keith, Fox 26 News.
Feeding rocks. It should not be a crime to feed the homeless. Feeding rocks. Good Samaritans shouldn't be punished for acts of kindness. Feeding rocks, because it's more of a crime to turn your back on a starving person. Feeding rocks, you shouldn't go to jail for sharing food. Feeding rocks, you can't in good conscience let a hungry person starve. Feeding rocks, help us legalize charity. Go online and sign the petition, www.feeding.rocks. Feeding rocks.
We're getting ready to go live in moments.
By saying he might take Tesla private. I'm Roger Stern, Fox News Radio.
From the Corey Diamonds and Design Traffic Center. Delays around the downtown area as you move northbound on the Gulf Freeway from Telephone past 69. 69 also heavy from I-10 down past the split with 288. And you also have slow traffic on the outbound side of the North Freeway from 410 up to Tidwell. I'm Stephen Foss in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is brought to you by Office Depot Office Max. If your back-to-school shopping list is testing your budget, the answer is shopping at Office Depot Office Max. From pencils to laptops and everything in between, you'll find low prices all summer long, online, on the rack, or in-store at the place that's serious about supply.
Houston, Texas. There's a new sheriff in town when it comes to buying cars. Give me the VIN.com. If I don't beat a CarMax offer, I'll send you a check for $100. Period in the store. Don't let your car. Opinions provided on the Eric Dick Show are for informational purposes only and not for the purpose of providing legal advice. You should contact your attorney to obtain advice with respect to any particular issue or problem. The opinions expressed on the Eric Dick Show are that of the hosts and guests and do not reflect the opinions of this station or iHeartMedia.
When you've got big problems, you need to have a big, you need Eric Dick, homeowner insurance lawyer and trustee for the Harris County Department of Education. This is the Eric Dick Show.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today on the very first ever Eric Dick Show. Exciting with yours truly as a guest. I have my wingman, Chris Carmona.
Hello, hello.
Another fantastic attorney in the Houston area. And we are going to talk about a lot of really exciting stuff. I know, I really get excited when I talk about homeowners insurance.
I know you do, man. And, you mentioned homeowners insurance, and, it's hard not to mention the end of August and then to think of the end of August last year, what we had with Harvey.
Oh, how can I forget Harvey? Oh, the storm that overwhelmed me. Let's start talking about Harvey, because it was an interesting time in Houston last year. We're talking, and this is almost, I think tomorrow's the anniversary. Yeah. I think one thing, if we're just talking straight up with Harvey, that people need to know that a lot of people don't understand is if you do have I'm going to start going lawyer here, so you guys are going to have to forgive me. I'm going to start.
It is a legal show.
It is a legal show. I'm going to start dropping information that's pretty important. So if you have a flood insurance policy, I commonly refer to it as NFIP, National Flood Insurance Program. It's really important that you file your proof of loss by tomorrow. Well, actually not tomorrow, by Monday, which would be the 1-year anniversary. If you've already filed a proof of loss, no big deal. But if you haven't filed a proof of loss, so let me kind of back up a little bit. If you were flooded by Harvey, if you have any property damage that was related from the storm of Harvey last year, they probably want to take your advice pretty seriously right now, because there's a lot of people that have been hurt by this financially. And it's been a long process, with FEMA not being responsive as we thought they were going to be, with the city, with different charity organizations. Some people just have no help coming to them, right? And so if they need legal assistance, what is the pathway that they should have been following? And it's not too late to still go on and get this done by the deadline of the 1-year anniversary, right? For flood, if you're talking wind, if you're talking other stuff, it's different. But for flood, if you have a dispute as to your loss, it's pretty much, Monday's the deadline to file your proof of loss, and you absolutely have to file a proof of loss. After you file the proof of loss, you can go back, you can dispute it, you could whatever, you can have your fight, but you have a 1-year deadline. Usually it's like 30 days or 60 days, but they extended it to 1 year. So you have to file that proof of loss if you have a dispute with your flood insurance policy. Now, if it's there's a lot of other things that happened with Hurricane Harvey that we could talk about, but I just really wanted to emphasize, and I'll probably emphasize that a bit with that 1-year proof of loss, because not many people are talking about it. A lot of people don't understand it, but you can get that form online for the proof of loss, but it has to be filed within 1 year. I just want to say that a lot so people, I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really important because you lose all your claims.
Now, can they find that form at the Dick Law Firm website?
I imagine they could. If I don't really do flood insurance claims very much. I do a few of them because I typically do first party insurance with my firm. If they called me or messaged me, I'd point you the right direction. But it's not really, I'm not trying to get business from this at all. In fact, I kind of don't really want the business. I'm just trying to provide basic information that people should know. I'd hope they know, and they don't. But it's just not explained enough about the 1-year proof of loss.
And no one's going to highlight this and promote, come and file a claim by Monday. So it's a good thing that you're actually here today telling all the listeners about this 1-year deadline to make sure that they do get that proof of claim in if they do have one before the deadline, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's only for the flood insurance policies. The windstorm and all that is a completely different beast. It's completely different type of stuff. And we could, naturally, I guess we could talk about the windstorm a little bit. And I'll talk about insurance till I'm blue in my face. It's and again, it's horribly exciting stuff. People live on Facebook see the faces I'm making. And okay, so the windstorm, that's interesting. There was a lot of, whenever Harvey hit, there was maybe those that were here. Remember, there was a number of like little tornadoes that tagged along all over the city, north side. And like right after Harvey, I physically inspected a couple of buildings, and I was kind of amazed by the amount of wind damage, where you had one building where the roof was torn off, where they flooded both ways, from the bottom up and the top down. And you see a lot of that in Houston. And what's sad, just from my own personal experience, is a number of insurance companies that just take this hard position that there just wasn't any wind damage at all, that Harvey was just a water event, and that's all it was. There's only flood. It didn't involve there was no winds, and it's just not true. And it just simply isn't true. I mean, unless the stuff I've seen firsthand, and many of other people have suffered with the windstorm and the wind damages and the tornadoes that came through. So I mean, it's just sad that that's kind of the state of affairs. I don't want to dwell on this whole insurance too much.
And that's the thing. I mean, we've, as we approach the 1 year anniversary of Harvey, I mean, there's still a lot of families out there that haven't been given the assistance needed. And so, it's always right to make sure we remember those who have lost items. And, there were some lost lives in Harvey as well. One of Houston's most tragic events overall. And so when people and families are trying to rebuild their life, a year later, there's still things that need to be done. It's a good thing we have lawyers like Eric B. Dick there to make sure that they can advocate for people and for families to make sure that they can get their house back in order, even as we approach the 1 year mark.
But it was just more than windstorm and flooding. You had a number of other factors kind of going on. You had the chemical plant that exploded that wasn't really expected, and that caused a lot of damage, a lot of craziness,
a lot of collateral damage, just from the floods, the winds, everything that's associated with a catastrophic event. So Eric B. Dick, Chris Carmona, we'll be back after this short break.
Thank you guys so much. I didn't hear the trigger. I guess
when she said 30 seconds, I was like, oh. I didn't hear the music till around 35.
I heard something. We'll get better. That's okay. We'll figure it out.
Were we okay? Was our volume all right? Tone? Okay.
Can y'all hear okay?
Yeah.
Oh, can you guys hear okay?
It might not be.
Yeah, he gave the thumbs up.
It might be that you have an honest disagreement or an honest mistake. But you don't want to go
out. All right, so when we come back from this break,
you need to call Top.
What is that? Phillips said anything? Is he
They have a local.
All of our phones are
recording
something right now.
Oh, Philip's calling right now.
They know
is he?
how to deal with the IRS. And frankly,
you hear Philip?
If you owe $10,000 or more,
okay. Hey, Chris, go down and get Philip.
I'll be right back.
Chris, come down.
713-489-7433. 713-489-7433. What's at stake here? You're dealing with the IRS. Think about it for a minute. Are you going to go that alone? No.
I hope I didn't throw you off.
No, I'm okay. I didn't mind at all. I'll get lost in just blabbing.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah, I'll give you a 30 seconds mark and then a 10 seconds. And so I could just do it with my hands if that's better for you, or I can do it in your ear.
It's in my ears better because I'm more distracted with all the information.
Understandable.
That depends. Are you a fan?
No, I'm disgusted that you just sexually assaulted me.
Oh, well, in that case, my name is Brian Williams.
No, it isn't. You're lying, just like Brian Williams does. Except you're not Brian Williams. I knew I should have gotten that concrete sidewalk fixed.
Sounds like someone should have called Southern Concrete Razor.
Southern Concrete Raising is Houston's finest leveling and raising specialists. They fix concrete with no gimmicks. Don't let that crack in your sidewalk create a legal problem for you just because you were too busy to get it fixed. My friend Ty Strickland can send someone over to your property free of charge to give you a quote on your concrete. You don't even have to be there when they come by. They'll take care of everything. Find them online at SouthernConcreteRaising.com.
Come plug in over here.
It's Doug Mike from 50 Plus. If you haven't taken a look lately at the UT Health Science Center Consortium on Aging website, you need to do so. They've freshened it up. There is so much information.
We're back. Sorry about that.
Like you,
Dumped y'all on the side. That's negligent.
People who are focused on our care, on geriatric medicine. I'm not geriatric yet, but hey, I'm old.
Where you gonna sit? You gonna sit over there? Oh, with a plug in over here.
UTH.edu/aging. That's UTH.edu/aging.
So I just discovered DazzleMe.com. It started out as the jewelry department at the Home Consignment Center, and now their entire jewelry collection, one of my rings is there as well. That's on DazzleMe.com. From the big name.
All right, so we'll transition. We'll talk about
to the unique design.
Talk about the
Still talk about Harvey. We can talk a little bit more about Harvey.
Yeah.
I know people on my Facebook want me to talk a little bit about TWIA, which is a big mess in itself. And I know they want me to talk a little bit about Beto and Cruz, which is a really fascinating thing. But
4 points close.
I think Cruz could lose that. Cruz really.
Hold that sponsor lots of stuff around the country club so we can bring in bands.
So give us some feedback what you think right now. It's our first live segment ever. I'm the Eric. Myself, Eric Dick. We just got a new guest in today. Philip Paul Bryant just walked in the studio. So, but drop some comments, man. Let us know how we're doing. What do you want to hear? We're going to talk about Harvey a lot today and going back to school. We'll throw a little bit of politics in at the end or somewhere where we can fit it. But send us our questions and we'll give a call-in number in a minute. Y'all can call up here.
On KPRC 950.
Okay. All right. Am I on? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right. Oh, so exciting. We're back. Back for more. Couldn't get enough.
Welcome back to the Eric Dick Show on KPRC 950 AM. Eric, so when we left off, man, we were talking about Harvey and its devastation. And just so we make sure we have everybody on the same page when it comes to the flood claims, they can go to FEMA.gov and actually pick up that application.
Yes.
Correct?
And it's a proof of loss. Its deadline is Monday. It's 1 year. It was extended to 1 year. That's just, and I know we've talked about that a lot, but it doesn't hurt to say it again. But something else to talk about is so we're going with Harvey and all that. So TWIA, Texas Windstorm Insurance Association, which is kind of a nightmare in itself. There's been a lot of problems with TWIA, to be fair, since its conception. This isn't the first time that there are big problems with TWIA. TWIA is basically the last resort insurance company. It's government funded. It's for people off the coast, Galveston, Brazoria County, Corpus Christi, right off the coast. So whenever Harvey hit, it primarily did hit people that had policies with Texas Windstorm. I bring this up, the problems that Texas Windstorm has had in the past. So whenever Hurricane Ike was going on, they got in a lot of trouble. They basically decided that they just weren't going to pay anything, basically. And I know that's probably abbreviating too much.
And it's only gotten worse since that time, right? I mean, we keep passing some laws to make it harder for homeowners to actually recover. And TWIA is a big part of that, correct?
And then we wonder why the race between Beto and Ted Cruz is so close. And don't get me wrong, I'm voting for Ted Cruz, but we wonder why it's so close whenever we pass laws that are anti-consumer, that are anti-people.
Yeah, there seems to be a trend to hurt the little guy over and over again. And then when we have these events, like we had an Ike and then we have a Harvey, we got to be careful about who we're actually protecting, because we start hurting all the homeowners and the consumers, it's just going to be a long road for everybody who's in power right now.
It's not going to be a long road. They're going to lose. I mean, and Ted Cruz should be completely scared, and he is acting scared as he should be, because you've got Beto. And I'm not saying Beto's a better candidate, because he's not. But what's going on with Beto is he has a good message. He's saying no more corruption. I'm done with corruption. I mean, is he really? I don't know about that. But he's saying no more corruption. I'm not taking PAC money. And he's getting some movement. And he really could win.
I mean, he's not taking PAC money, but he's taking all kinds of foreign money outside the great state of Texas. But yeah, I mean, great point. I mean, especially at the federal level, when we have these natural disasters, we turn to the federal government to do the emergency aid. And, you know, did we see anything put forward recently or last year that actually going to protect these consumers? Is Beto going to campaign on that? Is Cruz going to be able to recover from that? Is he going to make that a huge campaign issue between now and November?
It absolutely could happen. I mean, I don't think Ted Cruz is going to embrace, and it's unfortunate, but I don't think Ted Cruz is going to embrace consumerism. I don't think he is. I wish he would. I think it would help him. I don't think he is. I hope that more people, Republicans at the local level, embrace consumerism, because it's their constituents. It's literally their constituents. And whenever they side with special interest, big money, big business over individuals, I mean, what do you expect? They're going to vote, especially with the Hurricane Harvey. So you had a new law that went into place, like literally 2 weeks or the week of Hurricane Harvey. I think it might have even been maybe a couple days of Hurricane Harvey, 542A. And so this put
the Texas Insurance Code 542A, right?
Yes, Texas Insurance Code 542A. And this was, and I'm gonna give you some quotes, because, quote, greedy lawyers were filing claims, and this is the rationale, because greedy, evil lawyers were filing claims, even though they're filing on behalf of their people that they're hired for. But you know, lawyers only good whenever, I guess, you need one, right? And that's the joke. So these big bad lawyers.
Wait, greedy trial lawyers. You got to make sure you put that in greedy trial lawyers.
Yeah, because I mean, considering that there's more lawyers on the Republican side than there are the Democrat side, it's just nonsensical. It's just all that is. It's just big money being funneled from special interests for propaganda, and it's corruption, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that. But so you had that being pushed, you had the law changed, where basically it's difficult. You have to have a high level of precision when you're making your demand letter. If you're not perfectly right, you lose your client's right to recover attorney fees. So guess what happens? It's not hardly any lawyers are interested in the cases. There's a handful of them, and I do those cases, but not a whole lot of attorneys do those cases. You have a market that's needed. You have a bad storm come through, and you have a whole bunch of people upset, and they're upset at a lot of things. But this new law that got pushed by Republicans, that doesn't help. That doesn't help, especially in this year when you have a whole wave coming from Donald Trump. You have a whole national wave being pushed. It doesn't help.
It's the resentment. It's the anti-alt-right movement this year. And when you have people, especially in Harris County and the Houston area and Galveston, remembering Harvey and remembering the effect it still has on them, they're going to remember that in November. Who's helped them over this past year? Was it Republicans or was it Democrats? Or was it neither?
Of course they are. And I'll tell you, just on a positive, because I'm a positive guy. I've been really impressed with Jack Mormon. Jack Mormon on the local level, our Republicans some of them are really, really good. I imagine there's some there are some that are bad too, but there's some that are really good.
We got rid of some of those in the primary, right?
Yeah, some of the extremely corrupt judges, and there's a lot of that going on. We got rid of that, and we're still working. I know we've got, and I'm just going to say, we got a drunk chairman on behalf of the Harris County Republican Party that we got to deal with, but that's not either here or there now. Now what we got to do.
Drunk on liquor or drunk on power?
I think it's both.
Probably both.
It's both. He barely won. It cost $400,000 for him to win that race. Whenever I think his challenger spent maybe $5,000.
Maybe $5,000.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at the dynamics, it's interesting. But I kind of don't want to dwell on that. Let's go. I know we do have a lot of stuff going on because it's back to school, and we got a fantastic guest that we're going to talk to, Philip Paul Bryant.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. It's an honor to be here with some good people. Mr. Eric Dick, congratulations on your broadcast, Mr. Chris Cremona. I think this is a well well put together show. I think it's really great that you guys are on air giving people legal, I don't know if you're allowed to call it advice or legal direction, for lack of a better word. And so kudos to you guys for taking time out of your day. I know you guys have a million things to do, but thanks for doing this show. Your listeners will be very well pleased and very well educated as a result of that. And as you guys know, coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Harvey, you guys know that for the last year, some of the listeners don't know, but for the last 9 years, Eric Dick, along with other sponsors and underwriters, have made it possible in the Fifth Ward area to be able to give away upwards of 500 or 600 backpacks and school supplies each year. And this year alone, we're well surpassed that. We're almost at 900 backpacks.
900
school
backpacks.
supplies. And this is a direct result of charitable giving of Mr. Eric Dick, his other colleagues, some of the judges, Judge Sherry Dean, Judge Roy Moore.
Yeah, don't be shy. Phil, don't be shy. Let everyone know who these people are to put this thing together.
Alicia York. There's a dozen or so judges who, and just for the record, I want to go on record of saying this, they're not going to get votes from 12-year-old African-American kids in Fifth Ward.
No.
So it's not a political thing. It's not something to do to try to boost their credentials. They do it because they care about others, they care about the kids, and they understand that they're making an investment in the lives of young people. And a kid over in Fifth Ward or Cashmere area may very well be the next Mark Zuckerberg or the next Chris Brown or Michael Jackson or LeBron James, and so
they could have used somebody other than Chris Brown. I mean, we don't want any domestic violence. But you say that though, and if you listen,
meaning that they're talented. That's the route I was going with.
But if you listen to the names you repeated back in terms of the donations, in terms of the judges, a lot of those are family law judges in Harris County.
Absolutely. Great
family law judges, and I think for them, you hit it right on the dot. Is they don't do it for votes. They do it because they see the litigants day in and day out, every week, every year, coming through those courtrooms, and a lot of the times it's from families that are broken or not of high value or not, in terms of their financial capital, their financial assets, and they see the effect of not having the proper tools in the home available, whether it's a pencil or a pen. We got to make sure we're equipping the kids properly, and that's what Philip Paul Bryan has been doing for the last 9 years at the Island of Hope Church with his back to school drive.
And it's just an amazing drive. We're going to take a break, guys. Thank you so much. This is Eric Dick, and we got Philip Paul Bryan as a guest, and we'll see you shortly. Thank you guys so much.
First of all, I want
Good job, Philip. Good job, Dick.
Good job.
Of the Michael Berry Show and our entire station.
I'm not new to this. I'm true to this.
You that's a good transition, man.
We're going to have y'all turn on your mics so we don't have any chatter if we're not ready yet. Do you know what I mean? So you see your on button right there?
Yes.
So whenever you're ready to go, hit it on.
So right here?
Yeah, coming back from the break?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yours is right over there. There you go. And then yours is right over there. On. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. So it's off right now.
It's off right now. So whenever you're ready to go.
Cool.
Okay.
How's it sounding?
Sounds great. Sounds really good. Yeah. Have you done radio before?
I played with it when my brother's an on-air personality. And
oh, cool. All right.
So I played with him sometimes. I used to. I haven't done it in probably 10 years. But.
Comes back. Absolutely. Sounds great, guys.
It's free. 877-717-PTSD.
You've got lots of
So if my brother's listening,
yard equipment, ATVs,
constructive feedback.
You name it, and they all use fuel.
Later on, not right now.
These same fuels that make your engine run also create deposits that reduce
Oh.
performance and gas mileage. Come out, multi-system tune-up removes these scummy carbon deposits and stabilizes.
So we're about we're at the halfway mark. So Philip, we're gonna come back out the break.
Get a cab today. Just $647.
We can transition back out over the after he's done with this segment. Transition back over to Harvey. Now, this time
I got you.
I'd like to also talk to, he brushed in some really great judges I'd like to talk about. I think Sherry Dean, she really is tough. Sherry's really good. I'd like to talk about Sherry. Sherry's really just, I mean, to be fair, if more Republicans did that, it wouldn't be a sweet county.
Yeah, because Dean and Moore have been doing it from the beginning, right? Or almost from the beginning.
Actually, first year.
Yeah.
Eric,
2010.
Judge Sheridan, and Judge Moore.
713-489.
Actually, Chris Daniels, but he comes in and out sometimes.
489.
Oh, CD?
What's at stake?
Let me take my face off the camera.
Think about it.
He tries.
The experts call
Oh,
we can also talk about. I don't think we need to talk about the department. We can, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary.
Oh, but we can talk about the bond vote today.
That's really important.
Transition.
The bond vote's really important.
Yeah, that's happening right now. And it ends at what, 7? So you heard they say right when they gave us the countdown, when we're going back in. When you hear the music start playing back in, it's breaking in.
And we gotta push the button.
Hit the on button. You go back on.
Like, I got it.
or more.
Kind of it's coming back in a while ago. We're like, are they going to say, and we're back?
During the off season,
So we'll say that. We can lead in with, and we're back.
Yeah.
police violence or whatever the hell it is.
Make sure you put the show's name, like you're saying, Harry Dick Show.
Yeah.
So that way, if they're not listening on air, they're
We
listening.
can take some callers too.
Yeah.
I'll take some callers. Maybe we'll do another segment and take. Well, maybe we'll do half a segment and take callers.
Hey, we'll go back to tell every other the backpacks here, all the list of what they have there. You know, tell the kids they can bring their school supply list and go shopping. Yeah. So make sure you detail other than backpacks, say everything else they have. Tell the kids to bring their paper and their little list, and they can mark it off and pick up their supplies. And then I tell everybody how I just spent so much money. I'm gonna go turn it and then go back.
How much you raise so much money on?
Spent like $150 on school supplies. I'm about to go get my lift my receipts.
That's funny. You know, he never brings the girls.
KPRC on iHeartRadio.
And we're back for more. Eric Dick at my show, talking about Hurricane Harvey, talking about going back to school, and we have a special guest, Philip Paul Bryant, who does every year Backpack to Fifth Ward with some of the most amazing people that help him.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, did we announce that he was world-renowned author, Philip Paul Bryant?
Y'all forgot to announce
that.
that.
We forgot that part.
Y'all forgot to announce that.
Philip Paul, what's the book you have? What's your latest book you have out right now?
It's called Death of a Community, How the Church, the Police, and Facebook Are Shaping Our Future. I'm actually working on another piece. I hope to get it released by mid-December. And it's going to be talking about hurricane preparedness, things you can do. Actually, national disaster preparedness. So things to do in the case of hurricane, tornadoes, terrorist attack, school, active shootings. And so I'm actually going to be working with Attorney Eric Dick on that book. And so we hope to have that out because it's not about just trying to get it out right before hurricane season. So we want to make sure we have everything in there because on a regular basis, we need to make sure that we're prepared and we're preemptive on protecting our homes and our families. And so I'm really excited about that. One other thing I want to make mention of is tomorrow, we mentioned the back to school, the 9th annual. It's going to be tomorrow at 12 noon. It's going to be at the Island of Hope Church. That's 1505 Gregg Street. And that's in Houston, Texas. Right there on the corner of Lyons in Gregg. And you go over about one other block and you'll see the big dome church, the Island of Hope Church, Bishop Bryant, the whole team there. And you'll see some judges, unlike where you usually will see them in a robe, in the court, super official. You know, Judge Moore comes there in his shorts. Judge Dean comes there with her grandkids, and Mr. Lance, her husband, volunteers. We still need volunteers, but a lot of times people from their actual court coordinators and stuff like that actually come to the event and volunteer. They don't get paid for this. No one gets paid for it, but it's an investment in the kids and an investment in the community. And also we have some pretty good entertainment because the goal is to not just give the kids the backpacks because, you know, you can just form a line in the park somewhere and hand out backpacks. But the goal is to bring elected officials, people who may be considered role models in our communities, and have them all saying to the kids, it's important to stay in school, it's important to get good grades, and we're here, we got your back. So we have a talented, we'll have step teams there, we'll have karate teams performing.
And you got manicures and
manicures and free haircuts, because we want to encourage the kids to, no excuses, right? Everyone's on your side. You got everything you need. We're going to make sure you look good. And so we're super excited about it. This is year 9, so Eric Dick is officially has hood credentials.
He has tenure in the hood now.
He has a hood pass coming to 5th Ward.
I get my pass to 5th Ward because I got their back and I got their backpack. Yeah, I want to talk
because the brand that was good.
I do like branding. You have to admit that. But Sherry Dean, I've been so impressed with everything she's done with the backpack to 5th Ward. She has put in a lot of effort on this. In fact, she called me, and no, she didn't call me. She messaged me, Eric, you better donate this time. Yes, Judge, I'm donating. Yes, Judge. She really takes this personal, and it's kind of amazing seeing her there because she knows the kids. She goes and checks with them every year, make sure they're doing good. And it's really, I'm going to have to say that Sherry Dean is one of the role models, at least in the Republican Party. She should be, because if more people were acting how she acts, and she's doing it in all sincerity. There's nothing but sincerity. But if more Republicans actually cared on the local level, maybe it wouldn't be a swing district. That's just my humble opinion.
When you go into her courtroom, her biggest thing is family matters. Just saying, and she lives that motto. She lives that mantra because everything she does in the courtroom and outside the courtroom is always to better the families and better the kids. And so,
and one other point about Judge Jean, she has a huge heart, and so some of you may not know this, but this past Sunday, her mom actually passed, and I know that her and her family was out in, I believe it was Lufkin this weekend, dealing with that. But when I tell you, in the middle of that family coming together and needing to take care of that, she was still calling and texting every day. She's not doing it for show. She really cares. There's no cameras out there these years. It's just out there doing what it takes to help the kids. And I did want to make mention of a couple other names that she gave me. Judge James Lambino.
Oh, Lamberdino.
Judge
Lamberdino.
Judge John Schmoody.
Schmoody, yes.
Judge Charlie Prime.
Oh, Charlie's a really good guy.
Judge Ron Moore, Judge Alicia York, and of course, Trustee Dick.
Yeah. Judge Prine he's another really great guy. You mentioned a few of them. Judge Schmoody, John Schmoody, he's another. That was an interesting race, and I can talk all about that. Where you had an incumbent that just pushed this policy where if you didn't take a parenting class, you didn't get custody or even visitation. It was just insane, just bad. I mean, you don't want that person in any party. But I'm glad to see that you have that John Schmoody's involved. That of course Charlie Prine is one of the nicest people around. You got good people pushing this, which it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do.
It is absolutely the right thing to do, and more people need to be trying to help others.
And one last thing, I want to make mention that last year was pretty special because obviously with Hurricane Harvey, we actually had to reschedule. As you remember, we actually had to reschedule the back to school event for the following weekend just because that weekend, the fourth Sunday, which would have been around the 27th of August of last year, people were stuck in their homes. People didn't have power. People didn't have proper communication. So we were forced to reschedule the back to school event. And we reached out to our sponsors, Eric Dick and Judge Dean, and we let them know, hey, you know what? I know this is a back to school giveaway, but we need to add some clothes and some food. And our sponsors last year stepped it up, and we were able to give out clothes, food, and other toiletries to the community. And so we're happy that this year we're not needed to give out additional clothes and food.
But you won't turn them away if somebody brings some clothes up there and they have a lot. I mean, because kids do a lot, especially in ISD. A lot of them need the uniforms.
Oh, absolutely. And it's still people are still displaced a year later. And
so with this in mind, Harvey going back to school today is also, and there's also some other stuff going on today. You got a bond proposal. Today's the last day. It's election day for to add some more debt, and
and there's a lot of confusion on this bond issue too, because when first we had the county judge specifically say he wanted this special election because he didn't want to have to campaign for himself and the bond in November. So he asked the governor to set this in August. And the governor's response was, you already have the money coming and it's now, so I don't know why you really need this, but I'll go ahead and set it for you anyways. So when the governor says that, Eric, Phillip, do we need this $2.5 billion additional when the governor already says it's coming?
I don't. But
the thing that I like about it is, in all fairness to Judge Emmett and his team, I know Owens and a few other people down there, they've done a good job, in my opinion. And obviously, you have up until about 7 p.m. today to go vote. But in my opinion, they did a good job to try to spell out street corner by block by block exactly where those funds were going to be allocated towards. So whether or not areas or certain communities need those fundings or need that money, I can say that they were transparent in rolling out there exactly where those monies and where those dollars were going to go. So I appreciate that.
But the money's already, that money that is being, I won't say allocated, but needed for those areas, that's already coming from the state, right?
Well, if you've seen some of the devastation out there, and I know you have, Cremona,
yeah.
So it's a rhetorical question. So going out there and Kojic, we were donated a huge 60,000 square foot facility after Harvey, which Kojic Charities and Kojic Urban Initiatives were able to come in and set up a resource center where people can come get goods and other services. And we took it with Bishop Macklin and Bishop Blake and Bishop Bryant. We took a tour around certain areas. And if you were to see some of those areas and some of the devastation, and it wasn't just poor African American and Hispanic
everywhere.
Communities. It was everywhere. And if you were to see some of those areas, I guarantee you, from my perspective, you can't give enough money to one, to help those people be restored, and two, to try to prevent this from happening again.
And also you have everyone all along Barker Dam that flooded. And
absolutely.
It's just a big
and none of
mess.
that money touches that area as a project, though, right? So
that's the county. Maybe we'll talk more about that soon. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we're gonna take another little break. I've got Phil Paul Bryant as a guest. This is Eric Dick and Chris Carmona's playing Wingman. Thank you guys.
Wingman, come on. Oh, Mr. Devil's Advocate over.
No, that was good. That was good content.
You Republicans, man, I tell you.
That was good
the
content.
Republicans are supporting it. What are you talking about?
Well, it's just
Some of the Republicans are.
yeah, some of them are. I'm not necessarily, but it's just
The Ed Emmett Republicans.
it's just good. It's good talk. It's good stuff to talk about. It's good fodder. I do think that if Ed Emmett, if the city did more like how Ed Emmett was like, this is where the money's going, all that, they would have less blowback. With
yeah,
I think he did.
That was smart on campaign wise to put it out, but yeah, but when Abbott says you don't really need the money because it's coming, you have it around, it should be there by August. But go ahead, let's put it on the ballot.
Yeah. Jack Morgan was there saying, "Do we really need to do this?"
Yeah.
You have to give fighting Jack. He's not been doing bad. I've been really impressed with how Jack's been campaigning.
He's finally, yeah. I mean, I won't say he's been quiet. He just does his job. He doesn't ever do any hoorah and all that over the last 4 years.
He's just in the community. That's all he is.
He does his job.
Unless you're in the community, you
And
don't see it.
but like even 4 years ago, he didn't campaign. I don't think he had a fund 4 years ago. No, but this year, his campaign is pretty strong, man.
That's a solid campaign. He's in the community. You think
I want to thank so many of you who just raised awareness.
Does a great job.
You ever see much from Adrian?
PTSD have a place to go.
Adrian's a career politician that's just gone from spot to spot to spot. The Democrats don't even like Adrian.
717-717-7873.
Shot a lot of his little capital on the mayor's race, and then back after that going against Jimmy Green.
Now let our other veterans serve you.
One after the other. So
there is an answer. Call Camp Hope. It's
Dylan.
877-717-PTSD.
How you doing out there, man? You doing good?
The intro is great.
Oh, the intro?
Yeah, the intro is hysterical. It's great. The intro is horrible.
Sarah Barrett.
So much information there.
Dylan Glass.
And want to talk with somebody.
You have any questions? Hey, we need some, when we come back in, get the calling number.
Yeah,
if anybody has any questions about RV issues or the back to school event, have them call in, and then we'll see if we can get some patches. How y'all doing over here? I haven't checked on y'all in a while.
You guys doing good? You guys doing good?
Most of the employees, including the owner, are former military themselves. Best place to get training, practice, license carry, and a great rental fleet. So you can shoot their guns if you want to rent them there. 713-779-GUNS, TopGunRange.com. You've got lots of engines in your life. Cars, fire equipment, ATVs, motorcycles, watercraft, you name it. And they all use fuel and oil. These same fluids that make your engine run also create deposits that reduce performance and gas mileage. Gun Out multi-system tune-up removes these gummy carbon deposits and stabilizes fuel and oil, helping restore performance and fuel economy. Get a can today.
Philip, we're talking about your book. I was actually going to spin that over to Philip Paul Books Library. Where can they buy this book? Philip speaks of.
That's right.
Oh, you can't get there by bus? You need to buy a new car?
Philip Paul Fry's car.
Used cars. You can't wake up in the morning. You need some coffee. Go to Phil Paul's Coffee House.
That's right. 30 seconds. All right. Okay.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more. From around town.
The city of Houston to overcome our obstacles and our hurdles.
That's funny though.
The world is talking about it.
Remember to hit your on button going back in.
Ride home with Joe Pags.
Lots going on, lots more to get to.
Monday evening at 6 on KPRC 950.
And we're back. Eric Dick, back with special guest Philip Paul Bryant, is back to school, 9th annual Backpack to 5th Ward.
Making a difference.
You know what really impresses me about Philip Paul Bryant is that he actually does good for the community. I mean, he has two first names, Philip Paul. You know they always said that those two first name guys, you got to watch out for them.
Technically, I got 3 first names, Philip Paul Bryant.
That's true.
And 3 last names.
Man, I thought we'd see you on the news for other items, but man, good seeing him doing some good for the community.
Philip's done a lot of good for the community for a lot of things. But anyway, maybe we'll take some phone calls. Maybe if anyone decides they want to call in.
Yeah, if you have any questions about the back to school drive coming up tomorrow at the Island of Hope Church, or maybe any Harvey related questions about insurance claims, the process, feel free to give us a call. That number is
713-212-5950. That's 713-212-5950. Anyway, so we were talking about Harvey. Maybe we'll go back, kind of talk a little bit more about Harvey, the bond election. I know it's the elections today. So what I found like good, I mean, I almost always vote no if it involves a bond election or any type of tax increase. It's hard for me to vote yes for that. But having said all that, so you could probably figure out where I'm going to vote. But having said all that, what I am really impressed with is how Ed Emmett kind of positioned this. Not that he kind of weaseled into avoiding the general election. I'm not very impressed with that. But I am impressed with how he explained basically what they needed, where the money's going to be spent. And I think that level of transparency, kudos to you, Ed Emmett. Kudos to, the team that's campaigning on that. I am also impressed that Jack Mormon, he stood up. He's like, do we really need to be doing this? And I have to say, I know it's a hot race, but Jack Mormon has been doing just such a killer job in his campaign. I've been nothing but impressed with that guy. And he won just out of a complete fluke. He's another great example of like how Republicans should kind of campaign, how their positions should be, because he just cares about his community. He really does. And
that's where you see the success in Harris County, and especially a lot of urban areas around the country. It's when you truly care about the community and where you live, and you're making that voter contact and not considering voters but actual people in your district. That's where you're seeing the success in these candidates and people like Jack Mormon. I mean, doing it right and knocking it out the park.
Yeah, and Jack, it's like he won. It was just a complete fluke because Sylvia Garcia had like $2 million, $3 million she was just sitting on. She thought she was going to walk with the race, and Jack had like 2 pennies to his name. His campaign was pretty much bubblegum and shoestrings. The guy, he's just struggling to get. It'd be like just some guy just decide they're going to run for office. They run and they end up winning, and they're kind of. I'm sure he was taken back, blown away. No one expected Jack Mormon to win.
It's almost like Helena Brown in 2011.
It's actually it is similar to that. But it was more mind-blowing because it was such a large spot, and you had fighting Jack Mormon just go in there. And he's been doing a good job since. I'm really impressed with him. I really am, and there's not a whole lot of people I am impressed with. But I'm really impressed with Jack Mormon.
Speaking of being impressed, again tomorrow, the 9th annual Island of Hope Backpack to 5th Ward. Back to school drive. Philip Paul Bryan has been doing that impressively for the last 9 years, and having the big support from Eric Dick and Judge Sherry Dean and Judge Warren Moore, and then now a host of other judges have jumped into the fray, family law judges, and it's going to be a huge event tomorrow. So make sure y'all come by and check that out. That's from 12 to
2:30.
12 to 2:30. Now, other than the backpacks, what else are you going to have there, Philip?
We're going to have school supplies, man. We're going to have everything that they need as far as starting school. And I know some kids have already started school. I believe HISD starts on Monday. And so and I encourage parents, if you don't have any kids or your kids are grown, come on out, volunteer, because you can make a difference just by encouraging a kid stay in school, get good grades, and just let them see some positive role models. We're familiar with the area, 5th Ward. There's a lot of questionable stuff going on around there. So to see some positive influences, we got a liquor store about 3 blocks away where every day when kids walk home from school, they'll see behind a liquor store just a crowd of people just drinking and hanging out. And so to push on them some positiveness, some you can do it. It'll go a long way. So you never know exactly what's going on in the home, and so just to be that unbiased voice of saying, "Hey, you can do this. I think you're going to be great. What do you think about being a doctor? What do you think about being an attorney? What do you think about running for office one day? Hey, you can be an astronaut or run for president." So just to have different voices, encourage kids. So come out, volunteer. If you think your kids already have everything they need, then bring them out anyway and let them rub off some of their good home training off on some kids who may not be as fortunate. So 1505 Greg Street, that's tomorrow at 12 o'clock sharp. We're going to have drill teams there. We're going to have praise dancers, karate performances.
It's going to be one big party, huh?
It's going to be a back-to-school party.
And again, kids, parents, bring those school lists with you. You can go and do your shopping there if you haven't done so already.
Absolutely.
I know I spent about $150 on my 2 girls this past week. I may go take that back to Walmart or Target and do my shopping at Island of Hope tomorrow. If there's some supplies left for the people who really need.
They may take your Republican
Hey, you said you had plenty.
Okay, guys, okay. So we got kudos to you, Philip. You're doing a great job with Island of Hope. You got great people backing you on that. And I guess we're gonna finish up the show. Maybe.
Yeah, if you have any questions, again, call in. The number again is
713-212-5950. Then feel free to call in, but let's kind of maybe transition this a little bit. The show's going to be on weekly. The next 2 weeks we're not going to be on because of U of H football, but we're getting our sea legs. We're coming back, We're going to have a lot of other great, local guests. I'm going to be the host. I'm hoping I'm going to be the host unless someone comes and takes my name from me, which, who knows what's going to happen.
You never know.
Never know.
Some dick try to take your name.
Yeah, no, everyone tries. Everyone does different things for different reasons. Okay, so anyway, so back to maybe let's talk about Harvey a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and we can't talk about that enough, especially this weekend. Again, it's the 1-year anniversary. That's why we really want to make sure that we also highlighted, Philip Paul's back to school drive, because again, the devastation it put on a lot of families and the lasting effect it's had. It's not just the school supplies and the clothing, and there's still a lot of assistance needed with Harvey related items and issues. And again, if you have those questions and you need help and some guidance, it's not too late. Eric Dick's always willing to offer the assistance where it's needed.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Dick Law Firm. There's a lot of claims from Hurricane Harvey. Hurricane Harvey caused a lot of damage, and it's going to be a long time before everything's resolved. I know a lot of people are still fighting with their homeowners insurance companies over storm damage. A lot of people are fighting over TWIA. And that's just a show in itself with all the problems that TWIA's face and whether or not we should even have TWIA or whether even TWIA is worth the money people pay.
And if we want to get rid of entities like TWIA or the policies like TWIA, then make sure you're holding those who make these laws accountable, right?
We should make sure we're holding those people accountable. People run for office, and it's all what I've found is being involved in politics, being elected, being an attorney, all this stuff is tied together. Politics, law, policy, government, it's all tied together. And if you're just trying to, do the right thing, try to make a living, trying to, help people, it gets hard. And, it's easy to go down the path of being negative and being upset at the situation, but it's really hard to actually do something that's meaningful, that actually is worthwhile and actually get paid for it. So, I'm always impressed with people like Philip Paul Bryant that go out, and he just does a lot of different things. And I've always been impressed with what you do, Philip. I'm impressed with the Kojic PAC, which is a great organization that you're the chairman for.
Can we get you to put some of the stuff in writing, please?
Absolutely. But you've done really great. But my point is this, that it's so easy to go down the path of just being negative and, oh no, everyone else, caused this. So thank you.
And it's good to have people like that in the community. And, if you're always getting pushed around, you got to make sure you have somebody in the corner that's a little bit stronger, a little bit tougher than the other guy. And that's Eric Dick.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at Dick Law Firm. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, guys. You have a great one.
Have you suffered property damage and had your insurance claim denied?
This is Eric Dick. I think it's important that you know your rights. Hurricane Harvey may have been the most costly storm in history, and if your home was damaged and your insurance company did you wrong, well, you have the right to hire an attorney and sue them. You have the right to call me for a free consultation at 833-3HARVEY, 833-3HARVEY. Don't let your insurance company take advantage of you. Know your rights.
Call the Dick Law Firm now at 1-833-3HARVEY.
Breaking the law, one meal at a time, feeding the homeless.
It is morally wrong to make it a crime to give food.
A Houston man who feeds the homeless because of his faith is suing the city, challenging the established charitable feeding ban. The often debated ordinance has banned sharing food in public groups of more than 5 people without city permission since 2012.
The city says you can give food to 5 people, not 6. What are you supposed to tell the 6th person? I met my quota today?
The city wants to dismiss Philip Paul Bryant's lawsuit.
That's a crime? What does this world come to? It's a sad day whenever trying to prevent a fellow human from starving is a crime.
The city says the ordinance aims to curb trespassing and littering, both of which were already prohibited in the municipal code prior to the passing of the ordinance. While some Houstonians are in support of the lawsuit,
I really hope he wins his case, and I really hope they lift those sanctions so we can be able to give more to the needy.
So if you're willing to help more than 5 homeless people, you should be able to do that.
some even challenge the city's support of their citizens.
The city isn't going to take care of their homeless people. As their people, somebody got to take care of them. So why can't we take care of them?
A question Houstonians will continue to ask as long as the ban remains.